Hello everybody, today I'm going to be showing y'all a full tutorial on how to use Roblox Studio and where you can make your future dream game. Alright, so first of all, when you boot up Studio, you're probably going to see something like this. Ignore most of these options for now because they're just templates, unless you want to start off with them, but we're going to be going into the base plate for this. Alright, so first off, you're going to have a lot of things on your screen, like the Explorer, Properties, and this window at the top. So, the Select tool is self-explanatory. It lets you grab and drag things around. The Move tool, which spawns these arrows for all the different axes, where you can move things around. Scaling, to where you can scale up the objects and more variety. Rotation, to where you can rotate it however you want. There's also the collision and joint surface. Collisions is for, you can turn it on or off based on if you want player to collide with it, I'm pretty sure. Editor, which is the terrain editor that you can use. They also have a unique automatic generate thing right here that you can use to generate terrain on you, to where it automatically does it. There's the toolbox where you can get a lot of free models from the toolbox, but be careful because some of these could be viruses and harm your game. Most of the time, stick with the ones that have 60% or above on the like ratio to make sure you only get the good models that aren't viruses. Next, we have the part tool, where you can spawn in parts. Once again, scale it, rotate it, however. But there's this little drop down that you can click to spawn in other types of parts, like spheres, wedges, corner wedges, and cylinders. All of which you can scale however. UI, which is the user interface, which are all the buttons that you'll see on your screen while making a game. You can insert little text buttons, like that, all that. That'll be useful for whatever projects you'll work on, because every game needs this GUI. Next we have the import 3D model. So if you make models in Blender or any other 3D software and you download them, you can import them into the game and use those, which is really useful for custom assets and for bigger high tier games that you'll probably work on. Next is the color tool, where you can change the color of parts, red, green, whatever. Next is the material thing, where you can change what type of material it is. It could be bricks, or force field, or whatever this is. It can be any material you want, which helps builders a lot when making their map. Next is the group, where you can group it as a model, or you can group it as a folder, which is good for keeping your game organized, which I would highly suggest doing. Lock, where you can lock something or unlock it, which makes it to where you can't select it on accident. See how the base plate is locked and I can't select it unless I go over here and select it. Next is the anchor tool, which makes sure when you're in the game, the part won't be able to move around while you're interacting with it. You can turn it on or off based off if you need it or not. Play feature, which is used for testing out your game and just, seeing if your game works. Play here spawns your camera wherever you're looking. That's where you spawn in instead of just spawning at spawn points. Run just runs the game and you don't spawn in. Stop stops play testing. Game settings, which you can use to publish your game. See, you can publish it and all that. This is how you can get the title and thumbnail and everything for your game and game passes. This is really useful for actually publishing your game, obviously. See, now you have all this communication, perms, monetization, security, places, localization, avatar, world, and other, which are all really useful if you need a certain thing for your game. Team test is if you add people to the collaboration up here and you want to play with them. Exit, just the exit team test. Explorer, which is this window that probably is on this side for you, is where you can see everything that's in your game. To the workshop, which is all the parts, players, lighting, material, all this. These good for keeping models that need to spawn in. GUI, graphical user interface, to where you can see all that. And it's really useful for, well, everything. Next is the properties tab, which you can change all the different things about a thing, like about a part. Like this spawn location, I can make it really reflective, or I can make it fully transparent. And I can also change the color, cast a shadow or not, blocked, all this, size, C-frame, all of this, can collide, all of that, which is also really useful. Alright, so next is the model tab. Model is just like the home tab, but with a few more things. We have all this, but now we have the transform thing, where you can do this. It's just like the normal thing, but it has all the tools here at once. Movement, rotation, and scaling, all in one spot. Next is where you can change how much you rotate something. I normally keep it at 5 degrees. And for movement, I normally keep it at 0.1. But if you're doing something more precise, I have it at this. And for just getting scaling, general scaling for a game, I would do 1 stud. Snap to parts makes it auto snap to like the middle or everything. Pivot is just like transform. Align tool helps you align. Insert texture generator, you can use AI to generate some really good looking textures. Union, you can turn something into a union, which makes it a bit more useful, but we don't really need that for now. Intersect, negate, and separate, all just separate certain parts and do what they say. Effects, you can add effects like an explosion effect to a part, or a fire effect, or all these different other ones. Particle emitters, which are the ones mostly used, I say, where you can customize it. And other games that use particle emitters a lot would be Souls RNG, and mostly every other game, but mainly RNG games. Spawn spawns in a spawn point that we already spawn with. Advanced is all of these things, mainly used for scripting and all that. Avatar has the same few tools from last time, but we can get an accessory fitting tool. So if you're making UGCs or avatar accessories, you'll use these. Import 3D, you can import things. Rig builder spawns in a thing. It spawns in a rig that you can now animate by going over to the animation editor and just, making an animation. Ooh. Making an animation like that. And avatar setup, which just, if you have something set in here already, you can just click on it. Test is just playing and running everything, seeing if it works. View is where you can open up all these different windows. We already have most of these open. There's the toolbox, so the output one, and so a lot of other ones. View selector, wind direction. View selector opens up this little cube on the side. Wind direction shows which way the wind's blowing in your game. Full screen makes your Roblox Studio full screen. Screenshot, take a screenshot of whatever in this window. Video takes a video of whatever's in here. Show grid shows a grid. Grid material, you can change it. Wireframe rendering makes everything into a wireframe. UI visibility, it shows the UI while you're editing and you can disable it or whatever. And switch windows, you can switch the windows. Selection style, you can make it to where when you're hovering your mouse over it, it shows like this, or like this, or just like that. And all these are just rendering things. And next is plugins thing. So for plugins, you can go to the toolbox and download plugins. Plugins are just things that help you make your game faster. Some I would suggest that are free. I would say hue and saturation, scene tool, resize align, 3D text, Archimedes and building tools, and load character. All of those are really good free ones that I would highly recommend for making a game. And Moon Animator is really good for animating if you have $20. So you can't really use Moon Animator for free, but it's there if you want to use it. And that's really everything I have to show you in this tutorial. I hope you all enjoyed, and